Let's talk about renting versus buying. So I've always been kind of hesitant to try to convince someone that they have to buy a house. There are pros to buying, just like there are cons, and the same applies to renting. Now, I am a huge advocate of homeownership, but sometimes that's not the best situation for an individual or a family. So let's talk about the pros and cons of both and how together we can decide what's the best option for you. In case you're new here, my name is Jackie Jones. I'm a North Carolina broker realtor with REMAX Elite Realty Group. Make sure that you click the like and the subscribe button so that you can stay up to date in all things real estate in Onslow County. Let's just start by ripping off the Band-Aid. We know that when you rent a home, that property is not yours. You do have rights and responsibilities while you live there, but once the lease is up, the owner can raise the rent to meet market value, and there's not a lot you can do about it other than finding another rental. A lot of times, to encourage people to buy instead of rent, we hear that when you buy, your payment never changes. That's not really true. So your mortgage is made up of 4 parts. The first 2 are your principal and your interest, and these are never going to change. You can track the amortization schedule from the very first payment all the way to the last, and unless you refinance your loan, they're going to stay the same. But the other 2 parts are your taxes and your insurance. Your mortgage company has an interest in making sure that your tax bill and your insurance are paid. So for every payment you make, you're going to be paying 1/12 of your tax bill and your insurance. And your mortgage company is going to hold that into an escrow account. When these bills are due, your mortgage company is going to take that money and pay the bill for you. Together, these 4 parts make up your PITI payment, which is what you pay every month. And if half of those parts, the T and I, can change, it's highly likely that your payment is going to change at least once over the life of your loan. This is why I will never push a buyer to buy at the top of their budget, because we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the market's going to do that's going to affect taxes or insurance that might cause that payment to go up. And I don't want to put my buyers in a bad situation. So for this point, neither renting or buying really comes out ahead because your payment could potentially change in both situations. So let's move on to our next comparison, equity. Now, equity is a big one for me because I didn't really grow up with much. We know that historically, home ownership has been one of the best investments that you can make because homes generally hold value and it helps to build generational wealth. Now, we know that there are times when home values have gone down, but we almost always see a rebound. For example, many homeowners in Onslow County that bought before the 2008-2010 housing bubble burst were forced to put their homes on the rental market instead of selling because home values went down. But during our COVID market, most of them were able to sell for way more than they bought the house for. And the entire time that the house was in property management, they were building equity. We also know that if you're not ready to sell, but you need access to that equity, you have options. You can do a cash out refinance or you can get a HELOC. That's going to allow you to have access to the equity that you've built without selling your home. Renting doesn't give you any of these benefits. The current BAH in Onslow County for an E1 to an E4 is $1,335. So if you rent at that amount for 4 years, you're going to be spending $64,080 in rent. If you rent for 10 years, that's $160,200. And if you plan to retire at 20 years, you'll spend $320,400 on rent. BAH is a benefit that military members earn through their service. Why not put it to good use? So when it comes to equity, I think buying wins by a landslide. And the last point I want to talk about is mobility. I know it's not in everyone's best interest to buy. If you're not planning on living here for more than 1 year and you don't want to be a landlord when you leave, buying is probably not the best option for you. You might also decide to rent if you don't know what your future plans are. If you feel like you might want a bigger home in the future, or you might decide to rent now and then build in the future. This does come with a cost though, because you may not be given the option to renew your lease and you're going to be forced to move at the end of it, even if that was not your plan. So this means paying another security deposit, paying pet fees and cleaning fees, and the physical cost of actually moving. So when it comes to buying, you might be afraid of unexpected orders and be stuck not being able to sell. Or you might just be an overthinker like me and be worried you're going to regret it. There's so many reasons why someone might decide not to buy. The good news is that our rental market is pretty active. So if you have to move for some reason and can't or don't want to sell, it's not that hard to rent out your home. And if you've heard the myth that you can only use the VA loan once, that's not true. Go ahead and reach out to me and we can talk about it. So for mobility, it kind of depends on your situation, on whether or not renting or buying is the option. Here's the bottom line. There's no one perfect solution that fits everyone. If you reach out to me to try to determine which option is best for you, we're going to talk about your situation and all the variables that surround it. And we're going to work to figure out which option is best for you. I can help you no matter what you decide. So I just want to thank you for watching my videos. You guys have been so great in helping me jumpstart this channel. So make sure you remember to like this video. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to keep up to date with all things real estate in Onslow County, North Carolina. Remember, if you're working with a North Carolina real estate agent, make sure they go over the North Carolina Working with Real Estate Agents disclosure with you at first substantial contact. I have a video on this channel explaining what that means. And if you'd like to schedule an appointment with me, I have a link in the description box below for the Motion app that is going to work interactively with my schedule to offer you the best times to schedule an appointment. I can do Zoom or I can do in person. And if those times don't work for you, just go ahead and reach out. My information is in the description box. Thanks. Have a good one.